I'm Indy Nidell, and this is an exciting edition of the TimeGhost Cocktail Hour. Yeah. Say hi, everybody.
Hi.
Now, of course, this is non-alcoholic tequila and Fanta. These are non-alcoholic drinks. We don't condone the drinking of alcohol, do we? No. Especially on YouTube. That would be bad. But now it's my turn to rock the mic, and so I'm going to tell you a few things about what's going on in TimeGhost world. We are filming this week. We are filming a lot of World War II stuff, and to take us through most of the summer. But since it's a lovely afternoon, we thought we'd tell you about all the different things we've got going on in our lives. And for starters, you might say, hey, there's a face at this table who is an unfamiliar face. You guys, this is Maria. Maria has been working for us for a couple of months. Now, she lives in Stockholm, and she's been a friend of mine for several years. We hang out at the same bars. Right?
Yes.
And Maria she's dealing with a lot of the administration for all our Patreon stuff. You're doing a lot of stuff with comments and with social media. So say hi to them and tell them a little bit about yourself.
Hi, everyone. I'm Maria. I live in Stockholm, just like Indy. And, when I'm not doing this, I have for the past 6 years almost, I've run a metal club in Stockholm, but not specifically power metal. It's more doom, sludge, stoner metal kind of club. But that's, it's a great club.
It is a really good club. You get really good bands.
Yeah, we do.
And since that was her turn to rock the mic, we're going to move along to your favorite, my favorite, everybody's favorite, Astrid. Because, we've done so much. We do all the filming and stuff here. And we've done all of these community videos here and stuff. We've never actually talked about the house itself. And it does have a pretty checkered history. So go ahead, Astrid, rock the mic.
I rock the mic.
Rock the mic.
Okay. The house belonged to Wilhelmina Bushwoods, the 13th daughter of the Anheuser-Busch family. And she was, through all kind of circumstances, she ended up here in Bavaria, fell in love with a guy. But she was called the last queen of Bavaria, actually. She inherited loads of money, and she invested in lots of properties around here. One being a Fischerhütte of Graf Wendland, which she then redecorated into the tea house with 2 extensions, like adobe style. And she married eventually a guy called Sam Woods. And Sam Woods, all these documents came out in the 90s, was actually a spy doing the spying with a guy called Erwin Respondek.
A spy for the U.S.
For the U.S., yes. So there is a book, 2 Against Hitler, Stealing the Nazi Best Kept Secrets. So if anybody is interested, get the book. Then you know the whole story about Wilhelmina. Wilhelmina didn't have any kids. The whole thing went into a foundation. The foundation couldn't keep the house because the house was in a very bad state. So they had to find people that were actually interested in old buildings and old history and stuff. So there we were. We didn't want the house to be falling apart. And we did our thing and we're very happy. By that time, I did not know that I was going to do a documentary about the Second World War. I didn't, but it kind of matches the whole picture.
We have some characters from our shows that have actually visited this house. Wilhelmina was like, she was a party girl. She had parties for 2,000 to 3,000 people back in the Roaring '20s, and it went on all the way up until the war. And afterwards, the war, she started again. So Prince Ruprecht of Bavaria.
Oh, I like Ruprecht. He was cool. Yeah,
he's a good friend of hers. They were close friends. Yeah. Mussolini was here when he was rescued by the SS. Hitler was here. All of the Nazi party officials. And then after the war, folks like Eisenhower were here as well, because Sam Woods, he ran one of the most effective spy rings in the Allied, intelligence at the end of the day. The reason why he isn't very famous is that, he died before he could talk about it, and he was like a real bureaucrat, just State Department guy. And it took 70 years for all of the top secret classification to be taken off of it. So it's only in the 1990s that it came out that he ran one of the most effective Allied spy rings that they had.
Now, you're probably wondering how we are going to tackle a few large events that happened this year on the World War II channel. If you don't want any spoilers, turn off the sound right now. Okay, in just a few weeks, we will start our coverage of Operation Barbarossa, which is the German and Axis invasion of the Soviet Union, which was a pretty big thing. It's actually the biggest land invasion in history. I mean, over 3 million men invaded the Soviet Union because Hitler lost a game of cards. And that's okay, that's not my story. Now, we had a plan. We were going to be on the road, and, we were going to follow the first 30 days of Barbarossa, like following, doing it day by day. But of course, because of COVID-19, we were unable to do that. But we have a bunch of specials coming out, and an extra special regular episode, not on a weekend, that comes out on the 22nd, on the day that the operation was launched. And the first few episodes of Barbarossa will be double episodes, and then even in mid-July and stuff, they're still like 1.5 times as long as the episodes, because I have a lot to cover. And as for Pearl Harbor, why don't you talk about that?
But before we get to Pearl Harbor, Barbarossa is also the beginning of the Holocaust, although the death camps only really start next year. So what we're going to do starting July is that we're going to start with a bi-weekly schedule for War Against Humanity to cover what's going on behind the German front as it's moving eastward through Russia. It's going to be depressing, but it's also going to be fascinating and interesting, and it's an important part of what we do. Never forget. So, and moving into the autumn, of course, we're looking at Pearl Harbor. We're going to cover Pearl Harbor minute by minute as it happens on the 7th of December. And we're still going to do it, but now we're going to do it using CGI, using Indy in the studio, and doing some distant interviews with experts using the internet, like everybody's doing these days. And we're doing this, although it might very well be that the COVID-19 travel restrictions, well, many of them are already gone, and that travel is possible. But for us, we need the lead into it. We can't just wait until the last minute. We've got to start already now producing it. So we're adapting to the situation, but we're going to make sure that it's going to be a fascinating story. And Indy is going to make an amazing job at giving you a blow-by-blow, minute-by-minute account of what's going on. And it's going to be amazing.
And also, of course, the other Japanese invasions of December 7th and 8th, because Pearl Harbor was part of a larger thing, like Malaya and Singapore and all of that all at once. This was a huge operation to knock out all enemies, not all possible enemies at once, in one big blow. Okay, Anna, who you see on the home front, and Astrid and Maria and Sparty and Indy. We're going to say goodbye now, but first, we will say stay safe and practice what you need to practice in order to contain the spread of the COVID-19 virus, because 40% of the people at this table have had and recovered from corona, and it is these two. Yeah. And we were both sick. You were sick for weeks. Yeah. And I was sick for weeks. And it is the creepiest. It is so not a flu, and you have all these weird, bizarre symptoms that go away, and then another one will come the next day, and you do not want this. I would not wish it on anybody.
No, man, it's scary.
And fortunately, the two of us both came out the other side. We had it relatively mild compared to those who were hospitalized.
And that was 3 weeks sickness.
Yeah, and that's mild. That's mild. It's being basically bedridden for 3 weeks. Well, anyhow, we will see you soon on all our various productions on TimeGhost, World War II in Real Time, and Sabaton History. And do not forget to subscribe. And of course, you have to ring that little bell. And you can click away now, but I'm going to leave you with just a little story in case you feel like listening to it. It has to do with Crown Prince Ruprecht. When I was doing the Great War, we did a bio special about Crown Prince Ruprecht because he was a big figure at the end of the First World War. So this will be like July, August 1918 we're covering, right? And it was an Out of the Trenches episode where I answer people's questions. And just to be funny, at the beginning of the episode, instead of introducing myself as Indy Nidell, I said, I'm Burgomeister Meisterberger, and this is Out of the Trenches. Now, at the end of that episode, I explained who Burgermeister Meisterburger was. He's a character from a children's Christmas show, sort of a puppet thing that we used to get in the 70s and 80s when I was a kid. And the actual show is The Year Without a Santa Claus. But that's not what I said. I said, in case you're wondering, Burgermeister Meisterburger is a character from this Christmas show that we used to get on TV when I was a kid in Texas called The Year Crown Prince Ruprecht Saved Christmas, right? And I talked about his reindeer, which were the forerunners of the reindeers we have now, and they were called like Enver and Conrad and Hindenburg, and they were all named after different different Central Powers generals and stuff, right? Okay. Put a pin in that. Forgot about that. It was funny. Ha ha ha. People wrote in and said, oh, I remember that show, right? Okay. Like 2 months later, I'm doing research for the bio special on Crown Prince Ruprecht. And I type Crown Prince Ruprecht into Google, right? And I type Crown Prince and the first thing that comes up is The Year Crown Prince Ruprecht Saved Christmas. No! So enough people had looked that up so that it was the first thing. And you know what? I would totally watch that show, The Year Crown Prince Ruprecht Saved Christmas. So basically, I messed with Google by accident by telling blatant lies about Crown Prince Ruprecht. Okay, well, cheers everybody, and to Crown Prince Ruprecht, wherever you are.